Very warm welcome to the form. We've got plenty to get through this morning. There's lots to look forward to across the harness, greyhounds, and of course gallops as well coming in from Tauranga. Let's have a little look at what's on our agenda. We kick things off with Tony Pike, who gives us some insight into his two runners. We then get to Sam Weatherly, who's got a big book of rides and a couple of nice ones to follow. Then to Brendan Popplewell, our form analyst, who dives deep into Tauranga and what he thinks is his best bet. We wrap things up with Justin Evans, who's got a massive day coming in from Invercargill with a greyhound meeting and a harness meeting, 19 races to cover from there. Tony Pike, awesome to have you with us on the form this morning. And you're heading into Tauranga with a number of chances, but things have changed a little bit, haven't they? A few scratchings to work through.
Yeah, look, unfortunately, I don't think we drew single figures with any of our runners on Wednesday. Just with the rail being out at Tauranga, it's obviously very hard to make up ground. So Habana and Lebanese Trader will be entered for the maiden 1200 at Tiara on Saturday. And Ben Tager's likely to head to Otaki on Thursday for the 65 mile down there.
For punters who are watching and we're pretty keen to see those horses step out, how's Lebanese Trader coming up?
He trialled really well at Matamata, obviously coming back from a Brisbane trip. Got back and just rolled into second nicely on the bridle with no pressure. He's come back in great order. 1200's probably maybe a bit sharp for him fresh up, but he'll run a nice race and should be winning at pretty short notice when he steps up to 1400. And Habana just can't draw a barrier. He's storm wide at every start. If he can finally draw a gate on Saturday, I think he's going to be going very close to winning.
And Ben Tager, I've noticed you've scratched him a number of times, just trying to find the right race for him.
Yeah, look, obviously Barry's as well with him. He's a horse that did want to go a bit keen in his races, but settled lovely at Tirapa at his last start and finished it off really strongly over the 1400. If he does the same from a reasonable gate and gets a bit of cover, I think stepping up to the mile, he's going to be very hard to beat at his next start.
Well, let's move on to the runners that are left there at Tauranga on Wednesday. Jill is one of those and is on debut. What can you tell us about her?
Yeah, she's a big scopy filly. She's actually a half sister to a filly that I've got called Rapid Falls. It's quite a slow maturing family. She's taken a while to put it all together at the barrier trials, and look, I'm probably suggesting 1400 metres fresh up is going to be well short of her best. We'll probably just ride a little bit quietly from that wideish gate, and it'll be probably much an educational run. I'm sure she'll be finding the line nicely over the final stages, but she's one that's probably going to need to get up to a mile before she's winning.
Royal Emperor is the other chance on the card, a second emergency, but I noticed there's a couple without riders and a few already scratched. One start for a seventh. What's the progression been like since that?
He's a very big horse, and he was quite new and quite green at his first start. He got caught back and wide and did a few things wrong in the run, but probably fresh up for a horse like him. It wasn't the worst run. We'll probably just look to be a bit more positive from the wideish gate, stepping up to 1600 metres if he can get across and do no work. I'd expect to see an improved performance and possibly running into the money with maybe another run or two under his belt before he really starts putting things together.
The way that hit the line last time, 1600 metres, is sort of that natural step, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. He's a big, sort of probably a bit one-paced as well with a big action, and he may need 2,000 metres before he's getting close to being a winning chance.
Out of those two, who would you say is your best chance on Wednesday at Tauranga, albeit at long odds?
They'll both be long odds. Probably, look, I wouldn't be having a bet on either of them probably on Wednesday. I'd just be waiting for them probably at a later date. But obviously some nice chances going around on the weekend.
And Tony, a horse that maybe punters can follow going forward, is there an exciting youngster in the stable that we can look out for?
Yeah, got a lot of really nice young horses coming through. Should have a few derby chances hopefully this year. But obviously Tudikaka's just come back into the stable after a short break from Melbourne. He looks fantastic. So I think he's probably one that you could spec at odds for the derby probably this long out. I think he's going to come back and be in for a really good preparation.
Well, the team knows how to win a derby, so looking forward to seeing him later on in the season. Tony, thanks for your time. Good luck on Wednesday and obviously heading towards the weekend as well.
Thanks, Emily.
Sam Sam Weatherly, awesome to have you back on the form again. I think we should just about put you on a contract with all these interviews that you're doing. I'm sure you're looking forward to that meeting at Tauranga.
Yeah, for sure. I got a few rides there, and hopefully we can keep the ball rolling as I did the other day. And looking forward to it.
Let's work through the card and racebook order. Race number 1, there was the scratching of Nova Show, who you were meant to be on, but I think it's turned out all right for you. Picked up a ride for the Jamie Richards stable, Eridor, who's actually coming into it with 2 trial wins.
Yeah, my manager Stu Lang just messaged me before and said that Nova Show wasn't running and that I've picked up the ride on Eridor. So it's won its last 2 trials and being trained by Jamie as well. So that's a big plus factor. And so I don't really know too much about the horse. I haven't had a good look yet, but it's won 2 trials and trained by Jamie. So hopefully he can run a race.
A few ticks there for sure. Race number 2, the 11 Illicit Miss. On debut, but a recent trial winner. You get in with a nice weight, you've got a good draw. That'll all help for this debut performance.
Yeah, well, actually, I know she's had a few trials, so she will be well experienced going to the races, even though she's a first starter. Got a nice draw. As you said, a nice lightweight, again trained by Jamie, so a few plus factors there, and hopefully from a nice soft gate we can get a soft run and she can finish off well.
I don't know if you had an opportunity to see that trial win, but she put herself there and really kicked strongly off the turn.
Yeah, exactly, and having a nice soft gate and around Tauranga, you can sort of do that. If you put yourself on speed, you can kick away on the corner, and if she can get a nice soft run and do that, we could be half a chance.
Race number 3, you've got the 5 Oxygen, one for the O'Sullivan Scott team, and it's been given plenty of time. A 4-year-old on debut. I've seen some nice trial placings with this horse. The draw doesn't help too much though, does it? No,
a bit of an awkward draw, but he's actually not the worst. I haven't ridden him in a trial, but I've ridden him in work a little bit, and he can actually gallop a little bit, and he's had a couple of placings at the trials. So draw is a little bit awkward, but he does have a little bit of ability too. So he'll be an interesting one.
For your experience riding him track work, does he give you the indication that he might have the speed to put himself there, as we see so often at Tauranga? You need to be close to the speed.
Yeah, sort of Lance and Andrew like to see their horses finish off a little bit. So I'd say I'll be instructed to just ride him neutrally and get him to hit the line from that awkward draw. But I think once he has a couple of races under his belt and steps up, I think he won't be long until he wins a race.
Race number 7, the 8 Ember Attack, a real staying type who's been thereabouts over the distance. The tongue tie goes on, a small gear change that maybe will make the difference.
Yeah, actually been running quite strong races and running really well without a whole lot of luck. So steps back to a midweek stay-in race here. I don't actually think it's the worst ride at all.
And then you've got race 8, the number 6 Showboat. Met Bamel's Baby second up with a couple of excuses, especially last time when wide with no cover. You've got a fit horse peaking, and that's important, isn't it, coming into any race?
Yeah, I think this horse could probably be my best ride of the day. I know the form line doesn't say a whole lot, but stepping back to a 65 midweek after racing in some pretty rich races, if the track stays dry, I know they're meant to get a little bit of rain overnight, but if the track stays firm, she's actually a big chance.
You've also got a nice draw. That's a tick, isn't it? I guess the only thing that I noticed was that the horse can be slow out, and that maybe won't mean that you won't be able to use that draw to your best effect. Yeah,
hopefully it'll be my first ride on the horse, but hopefully I can get her to jump well, and a nice gait will help as well if she does begin a little bit slow. But if she does jump well, if the track stays good, she is a big chance.
Race number 9, the 7 is Posy Vibe, and that's one of your mounts. So 4th behind Le Creek at a latest, and I think the crucial thing, stepping up to the 1600 metres. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I quite like this horse. Le Creek's a pretty talented galloper, and so any form around that is good form. And stepping up to the mile, Stephen Cole's pretty happy with the horse, I think, and wouldn't surprise me if we run a big race.
Race number 10 is the 15 El Fiesta Girl. The last emergency I think you rode for your dad was that Be a Rocker. So hopefully you can carry on that winning form with the family.
Yeah, hopefully we might be holding on to a bit of hope there, but she sort of has been pretty disappointing this time in. Won her last race at the end of her campaign last season, and we thought we'd tip her out and she'd come back quite nice, and just hasn't seemed to deliver this preparation. So if they probably need a bit of rain overnight for her to slow the others down, and so she can get her toe into it a little bit. But off her work, she's worked as good as the other horses did the other day and worked with them, but needs to improve sharply off what she's been doing. So if she probably runs no good again, it might be to the breeding barn for her.
The visor blinkers do go on, and they can sometimes make a difference, can't they?
Yeah, they can. I think she needs a little bit of help. So we're very hopeful, but she needs to show us something.
For sure. Well, Sam, did you feel you've identified Showboat as your key ride, your best ride on the card, or is there one other we can also look out for?
I think so. I think just stepping back from quite rich races against some quite handy horses, back to a midweek on a Wednesday, nice draw. She's my best ride, I think. But Posy Vibe might run a bit of a race, stepping up to a mile in race 9 too.
Awesome stuff. Well, thanks so much for your time. Good luck on Wednesday, and hopefully Showboat or Posy Vibe can get up for you.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Brendan Popwell, awesome to have you with us to go through this Tauranga meeting tomorrow afternoon. It's a real meeting where horses are stepping out for the first time. A lot of horses trying to break through for their first wins, and that obviously makes it pretty tricky from your perspective.
Wow, yeah, absolutely, Emily. Where have all these horses come from? This is the next wave, you could say, as we move into that summer and Christmas racing, and a lot of interesting runners taking their place here on the Wednesday twilight meeting. A lot of horses have trialled through that recent Matamata trials back on the 4th of November, so plenty to break down. A lot of horses, and the race meeting pushes close towards that 7 o'clock mark, so a chance for those after work punters to get involved too.
Yeah, and they always get a good crowd at Tauranga as well, don't they? I know a couple of races you've identified that you want to talk about. Race number 4 was the first of those. Invincible, a horse that we can maybe keep our eye on.
Yeah, I think so. Look, she's a horse that trialled up really nicely leading into her first up performance out of Cambridge Synthetic over 1,300 metres. What I did like about her trials is that she was constantly working home through the line, and that's what she's done in her 2 trials, and that's what she did first up to the races. It was a race where it lacked tempo in the middle stages, and the speed went right out of the race, and it meant she just started to over-race. Now, the horse that wins her this race that she was in actually comes from behind her, but she had to come across heels and then get to the outside and really get through her momentum late in the race to finish into 4th position. So overall, a good run. As I said, things didn't quite go her way. She gets an extra 100 metres this afternoon to go to 1,400 metres, and she's drawn in barrier number 3. She drew barrier number 3 in that first up assignment. Be nice to see if she can be able to take maybe a pair or two closer, especially with that rail out to 10 metres at Tauranga here this afternoon. But yeah, I thought she looked to be a nice chance with the first link, number 1, a real interesting horse who caught the eye late, was rocketing home. It was on this track. It's a local galloper. It does have to go onto the better track conditions, but it was on a heavy 10 last time out. He's the other interest horse in the race with just how well he went first up to the races.
And then race number 5 is the other one that you've identified for us, the maiden 3-year-old. What are we keeping our eye on this one?
Yeah, I think there's a couple here to really look out for, Emily. I do like number 9 in Principeso. It's a horse identified off the trials, and she went round at a really big price first time of asking. And she's done a lot of work in her first start here at Tauranga. It was over 1,400 metres, which is the distance again today. And she's sustained her run from the 600 metre mark from last to go right around the horses, be 4 5 wide on the point of the bend, and still run a really good race into third position. She was able to still run the right sectionals in that particular race, and I just like how she's kept on finding to the line to finish into third position. It doesn't end there, though, in this race. I thought Rosberg ran a really good race last time out at Te Araha, over 1,200 metres, goes up to 1,400 metres with a light draw. Love the way that horse finishing on strongly. And Divine Sava, runner number 8, she ran a couple of really good races as a late 2-year-old filly, and she caught the eye with how she hit the line into third position last time out, running the fastest last 200 at Te Araha over 1,200 metres. Good maiden 3-year-old race with depth through the trials. I think there's a bit to like about race number 5.
And Brendan, you're teasing us with a best bet. We've had to wait for it, and we're going to have to wait on the day too, aren't we? Because it's the last race on the card.
It is, Emily, and it's a 65 over 1,600 metres. And the horse I do like is almost a best bet / value for me on the day, and it's Allegra, runner number 6. Now, she is beautifully bred. She's by Pins out of the Group 1 mare in Soriano. I thought her run last Tuesday was a horse that's almost close enough to winning. She's covered a lot of extra ground in this race, beaten by Invaluable, who had that one extra run on her, who's come over the top and looked extra good in winning that race. Invaluable too, with the blinkers going on. Allegra was caught 3 wide, went up on the point of the bend to challenge for the lead, and he was brave in defeat to finish into second position. What she has in her favour in this race is she goes to 1,600 metres, which is no fair for her, but also she gets the aid of barrier number 1. She's not a horse that will be able to ping and go, but what I'm hoping for here is that we get the speed in the race and that she can take a position 3 back the inside and be closing late. If that's the case, she might go in at a nice price, and I'm happy to be on her.
Great stuff, Brendan. Look forward to those 10 races from Tauranga. Thanks for your insight and best of luck with your best bets.
No worries. Thanks, Emily.
Justin Evans, great to welcome you into the show, and I hope you're resting that voice up because 19 races from Invercargill, I understand. That's enough to keep you busy.
Yeah, for sure, Emily. Looking forward to it. Dual code, look, good to experience both codes, obviously, on what is, of course, the only tri-code racecourse in New Zealand. So, always good to get along to Ascot Park. Look, Emily, looking at the greyhounds first, I think there's a couple of really good bets here for the punters. So we've put the circle around both of them. Race 8, number 8 at the greyhounds, Mr. Festus. It's that time of the year, of course. This one out of a bitch called Sandy Claus, so it's got a real Christmas theme to him. I think he'll win, Mr. Festus, and I think he's a really good sort of multi-anchor. We tipped him on Sunday. He was beaten there in a downgrade run, but his run was actually pretty good. He had to clip off heels into the first turn, and look, he was a clear-cut second, beat a lot of these as well. He's a former Class 5 dog. He only downgraded there on Sunday. Drawn perfectly, I think, in 8. I think he'll scoot to the lead. I think he'll lead, and I think he'll win the race. So if you don't mind taking the shorts, he's the one, and certainly in any multis across the day. The other one, Emily, race 7, number 2, so the race before. Black Stockings. Look, I can't label her with the utter confidence of Mr. Festus, but I still think she'll just about win. 4 runs back for Ashley Bradshaw. Last 2 runs have been really good. Good staying bitch, getting out to the distance that she really enjoyed. She's got a really good distance record. The key is the box. She loves an inside box. It's a race pretty thin on winning hopes, I would think. There's only really about 3, I think, would win the race, and I think she'll go really close. So I think she's a cracking bet. Black Stockings, race 7, number 2. Pity it wasn't Red Stockings, I suppose, this time of the year. There'll be plenty of them around. And Mr. Festus in race 8. 2 really good bets, I think, for the greyhound punters.
And what about the harness, Justin? What are you liking with regards to that meeting?
Yeah, I think, there's a few we can play. Best bet of the day for me, Emily, race 4, number 2, Calico Hill for Tyler Dew. Really, really keen on this mare. Underrated mare, drops back in class. She's a mare who can do a bit of work, can run a bit of time, and some of her runs recently have been really underrated for mine. I think she's going really well. She's going to take a power of beating. Really keen on her. So race 4, number 2, Calico Hill. The other one I'd suggest for the punters, Emily, race 2, number 6, Pyramid Mystic, who's just a 2-year-old trotter, but trained by the master, Phil Williamson. Gee, she was good first up. She showed a lot of zing. Anybody who saw that debut, I'm pretty sure would be happy to be with her this week. She made a couple of errors over the last 800. Hopefully, she's learned a bit from that. Second up, back to the tighter track of Ascot Park. I think if she steps away and keeps herself together, gee, she'll take a lot of pecking back. I really liked what I saw there on debut. I thought her run to run fourth had a lot of merit. And we'll chuck one out at odds. I think, Emily, race 7, number 9, Raka Notta. Now, look, if it's not this week, it'll be next week or the week after. She's going really well. She's back in class. She's a little underrated, this mare, and I thought that 7th last start was a little better than what it may seem. Now, the problem this week, we've got the inside of the second line and a rather big field. So we're banking on Magical Maddie Williamson to work some of that magic. Look, if he doesn't get her out, she might be an unlucky story, but certainly keep an eye on her going forward. I think she's close to winning a race. Race 7, number 9. She could be a bit of value this week, though. Just needs a little bit of luck, Emily, Raka Notta. So a few to play for the punters on what is a busy old day at Invercargill.
Well, as always, Justin, huge thanks for your insight and looking forward to that dual code meeting. 19 races, enjoy it, and see you on TV.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's it for your Wednesday edition of The Form. Hopefully you've enjoyed the show and got some insight from our form analysts and, of course, our guests as well. Now, let's have a little recap of what we have as our bets. Well, that's it for your Wednesday edition of The Form. I'll be back with you tomorrow as we look through Otaki Gallops. We've got Cambridge Harness and, of course, the Greyhounds as well. Don't forget about Addington and Cambridge Greyhounds. We'll be back with you on The Form for that.